You are going to love this show today more than anything you've ever done. I'm going to give you the most comprehensive review of the allegations involving Ilhan Omar and whether there was some brotherly uh, faux or marital arrangements for his papers. Is it his brother? Was she married? What do we know about her? What's her past? What has been done? Because today in X, I don't call it Twitter, I'm finally broken in my Twitter, but today there has been a discussion, and I want you to look at this very thoroughly. Think like a prosecutor, a grand juror. Don't jump into it and just say, because I despise her. Despise her. But that doesn't mean anything. I want to know the facts. What do we know? What has been said? Why all of a sudden? Do you think that with all that is going on in this revolution, do you think that maybe the tide has changed? Do you think that maybe people have said, wait a minute, everything from USAID to Elon to investigation to new media to maybe all of those people who have been protected for all these years now are going to find themselves in the position of being focused on. We will see, dear friends. We will see. So listen carefully. Let me say this again. This is not about throwing out pejoratives. This is not about making funny comments about no. If it's not thorough, if it's not by the book, what's the point? If you don't like her, that's fine, but what do we know? The best thing to do is to look at what's been said. Specifically, it's been a long time. There have been things since 2019. Remember, everything is before you. A lot of people do not do any research. And for years, the critics of Ilhan Omar have raised allegations regarding her marital history with the most explosive claims. And by the by, I just put out this morning and the latest newsletter I have. It's not even a newsletter. Sounds like it's once every. I do them a lot, sometimes 3, 4 a day. It depends. It's an email. Sign up for it. I'm getting loads of people saying I loved it, thank you, and other people who are saying I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I'm working on that. I don't know what that is, but we'll get to the bottom of this. But if you like what I'm saying, if you like this, subscribe to the newsletter. And if you go in the description section, there it is. Just click on and sign up. And I even put it out on X where you can read it and then sign up for as well. This is probably the most comprehensive thing you're ever going to see. Ever going to see. So for the longest time, they've been talking about her allegedly marrying her brother to facilitate his immigration and access to educational benefits. And these allegations, of course, often fueled by allegedly right-wing outlets, you know what that means, the truth, political opponents, who else is going to bring it up? Why would her supporters say, we love you, Elon. Oh, by the way, we're going to expose, if true, because remember, we have the burden of proof, or maybe she does. It's an interesting question, because why this is important. If there was immigration fraud, if there was fraud that was committed, you can claw back, in essence. Not only is she subject to criminal prosecution, ouster, censure, removal from Congress, but perhaps deportation. We'll see. Before January 20th, I would have said, nah, today is a different story. But remember, all of this was, she was thrust into the spotlight during her rise to prominence. And after her election to Congress, and her position against Israel has aligned her with huge factions of the pro-Palestinian / well, again, these labels. But what I'm saying is she has a lot of folks who like her. Remember the Benjamins. She has said stuff about Israel that even the most diehard pro-Palestinian people would never have said. So do they abandon her? Do they? Oh, yeah. Because right now, because let me tell you again, the USAID story is the biggest fraud ever recorded in the history of mankind. This is going to be trillions of dollars. Going back, you cannot, and it's not USAID, that's what we'll call it. I was listening to a very, very wise commentator, Owen Schroyer, who said, the USAID is like a mint at the end of a meal or a fortune cookie. It's like this little gift. It's nothing. That's not the meal. That's just an amuse-bouche. So let's get down to business, all right? Listen carefully. So here are the allegations. In 1997, Ilhan Omar and her family fled war-torn Somalia and settled in Minnesota. I have a dear friend of mine who is a Minnesotan. He is as liberal as you can get and can't stand her. What does that mean? So 1997, okay? So 5 years later, in 2002, and by the way, in my email, I cite, where I get this from. In 2002, she entered a religious marriage with Ahmed Abdisalan Hirsi, Hirsi, though it was not legally registered. Okay. The couple had 2 children before separating in 2008 through a religious divorce. Okay, you got this? This, by the way, this is PolitiFact, a Daily Mail, and the Minnesota Star, and I'm not just pulling this out of my arse, as it were. So the couple had 2 children before separating in 2008 through this kind of like a religious divorce, kind of like a, what do you call it, a get or whatever it's called. Anyway, the following year, in 2009, she legally married Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, Elmi, in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. This marriage to Elmi, that's the one they're talking about. Think of like Elmo, but Elmi, which critics, of course, are alleging now was fraudulent, is at the core of the controversy, okay? And Daily Mail, New York Post, okay. Elmi was a British citizen, okay? And he enrolled, we learn, at North Dakota State University shortly after the marriage and lived with Omar while attending school. However, the details of the relationship have drawn significant scrutiny. According to Abdi Hakim Azman, a Somali community member who went on record with the Daily Mail, Omar privately told friends, according to him, that she married Elmi to help him obtain legal status and stay in the United States. Osman revealed that few people in the Somali community knew of the marriage at the time, and the wedding itself did not involve the traditional public gatherings typical of Somali ceremonies, okay? So so we don't know anything about who he was, just this dude. All right, fine. Now, here are the investigations and lack of definitive proof. Again, we want to be fair here. The first public allegations that Omar and Elmi were siblings, appeared on the Somali news forum Somali Spot in 2016. Okay? The Post highlighted that Elmi attended high school in Minnesota and later attended North Dakota State University, like Omar. And despite the allegations, concrete proof that Omar and Elmi were biological siblings has remained elusive due to the fact and due to the lack of official documentation from Somalia, a country with limited civil record keeping due to decades of conflict. Okay? Now, how would we go along and fix that? What would we do? What would we do? Let's see. What could be done? How could we well, how can we figure this one? Okay? Probably the best thing ever is this little thing called a buccal cell. This buccal cell. A little swab. You know what it is. It's simple. That's not been done. So right now, people don't know who's who. Okay, fair enough. But that, if ever forced, or if that were caused, or that were involved, that could satisfy any and all questions that people have. Okay? All right. So in 2011, Omar claimed to have separated from Elmi, who returned to the UK that year. Okay, so in 2011, she and Elmi, maybe, I don't know, returned to, all right. However, social media activity, and by the way, this is why our fora, why social media is so fascinating, because of what it can do on its own. Social media activity and public records show that Elmi was still in the U.S. until at least 2012, according to what they know, but contradicting Omar's timeline. The two officially divorced in 2017. In 2018, Omar legally remarried Hirsi, which was the other fellow with whom she had reconciled and had a third child. Now, did you know this? I didn't. Here's the fallout. Political fallout. Renewed interest. The allegations surrounding Omar's marriage to Elmi resurfaced during her 2018 congressional campaign. Although she denied the claims and described them as baseless, absurd rumors motivated by, of course, Islamophobia, the accusations gained traction after Trump highlighted them in 2019 during a public statement stating, quote, "There's a lot of talk about the fact that she was married to her brother." This is from President Trump. Now, in July of 2019, let me just say this again. All of this is in the newsletter, so make sure you subscribe. In July of 2019, Daily Mail reported that Omar had separated from Hirsi, you got this, and moved into a luxury penthouse apartment in Minneapolis. Shortly after, it was revealed that she was having an affair, as alleged, with her campaign consultant, Tim Minette, whose company had received substantial payments from her campaign. Kind of sounds like a little bit like AOC, sort of, kind of, you know what I mean? This affair led to further criticism and allegations of ethical and misconduct. Okay, now, in October of 2019, Omar formally filed for divorce from Hirsi, Hirsi, and the divorce was finalized in November. Hirsi married pediatric nurse Ladan Ahmed just 37 days later. Meanwhile, Minette's wife, Beth Minette, filed for a divorce, alleging that her husband had professed his love for Omar. This is according to the Daily Mail. Now, federal investigations are going on, evidence challenges. The New York Post reported in 2020 that the FBI had launched an investigation into whether Omar's marriage to Elmi constituted marriage fraud, which could carry penalties of up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Sources indicated that federal investigators were examining documents and records relating to the marriage. Findings from this investigation were to be shared with Immigration and Customs, ICE, and Customs Enforcement, and the U.S. Department of Education. Okay. Listen to this, central to the allegations is the fact that Omar filed joint tax returns with Hersey during a period when she was still legally married to Elmi, a violation uncovered by a Minnesota Campaign Finance Board investigation in 2019. Although Omar rectified her tax filings, the inconsistency raised further questions about her personal and financial dealings. This is the Star Tribune, PolitiFact. It's all over the place. Now, social media, the Citizens Tribunal, and community testimony. Listen to this section. Much of the speculation regarding Omar and Elmi's alleged sibling relationship stems from circumstantial evidence, particularly on social media. Screenshots from a since deleted Instagram post in 2012 show Elmi holding Omar's newborn child and referring to her as his niece, a term that critics argue implies a familial connection. Do you think? However, Omar's office has dismissed these claims, stating that such evidence is insufficient and taken out of context. And I'm surprised you don't say, well, it's an expression that we use, like brother, sister, hey, brother, babe, brother, man. Okay. Now, Osman's testimony adds to the controversy. He described how Elmi appeared in Minneapolis in the late 2000s and was known for his flamboyant appearance, oftentimes dressed in feminine clothing, which led to whispers in the Somali community. Osman noted and claimed that Omar told friends she married Elmi solely to secure legal papers and ensure he could attend school. However, he also noted that the marriage was kept secret from most of the community, further fueling speculation. And remember, this is most important, the people who would be able to validate who's who, brothers and sisters, this would be in Somalia, where there is no such thing as records anymore. We can't verify this. We don't know. That's why sometimes when children are disappeared from various countries who come here unaccompanied, you don't know who they are. There's no record of them. But let's go back. Ilhan Omar has repeatedly denied that Elmi is her brother, calling the allegations, of course, disgusting lies and accusing the media outlets of fanning the flames of hate. This is all hate. This has nothing to do with the fact. However, she has provided little documentation to conclusively refute the claims. During her 2018 campaign, she stated that she had already shared extensive personal details, but found it unfair to prove a negative regarding her relationship with Elmi. Okay. Kevin Diaz, the politics editor of the Star Tribune, explained that the lack of documentation makes the allegations difficult to definitively confirm or refute. He noted that much of the evidence relies on social media, which has since been deleted, and public record searches showing overlapping addresses for Omar, Elmi, and Hersey. The absence of cooperation from Omar's family members, including Elmi, has also hindered the investigations. Okay, so what's the conclusion? What do we know? This is me giving you an official finding of fact based upon the evidence adduced. The allegations surrounding Representative Ilhan Omar and her marital history remain a contentious issue. with no definitive resolution. Now, while her critics continue to press for investigations, Omar maintains the claims are politically motivated. Attacks against her are based upon her gender, her religion, I'm surprised she hasn't blamed Israel or AIPAC or whoever. She will. Federal authorities, including the FBI, have reportedly looked into the matter, but no formal charges have been brought against her. Excuse me, correction. The old FBI, pre-Kash Patel FBI, pre-Trump FBI, pre-Trump DOJ, pre-Trump everything. It's a different world today. Understand what I'm saying. Now, the complexity of the case is, of course, exacerbated by limited records from Somalia and circumstantial evidence, has led to, leaving the controversy pretty much unresolved. Now, as Ilhan Omar seeks to focus, of course, on her legislative work, the lingering questions about her personal life remain a potential political liability, among other forms of liability. Now, this is what we know. Now, if this were President Trump, if this were Eric Trump, if this were Donald Trump, if this were anybody, we know more about Kimberly Guilfoyle than we know her. This is not only is she a congressperson, she's this firebrand, she's this flamethrower. We know nothing about her. Nothing. And in this world that we live in, by the way, which will be highlighted on the 22nd of this month at the Cutting Room in New York City with tickets available. Put it this way. I'm toning this down for public consumption. We're gonna in public, I'm a wild man. I'm out of control. I seriously, there's no sedative that can control me. 22nd, be there. But in any other walk off, you say, come here. 1, 2, 3, me. How many of you have done that stupid test that goes right to China so you can take your genotype and send it and anyway, hey, this is great. Hey, look, I'm part Irish. You believe this crap? All they have to do is say, here, at a press conference, all they have to do is stand there and say, I have a question. Yes. Send it with a nurse. Would you come here, please? Yes. Would you open your mouth, please? We've secured so-and-so. We've offered him cash. Believe me, wherever he is, the UK, Sweden, somebody somewhere will say, we want to extradite his ass. Bring him over here. Okay. He'll cave full like a cheap suit. Absolutely. We ask you, to the great people of the great state of Minnesota, do the right thing. Let us swab your cheek. That's it. It's like this. Like everybody does all the time. Submit yourself and prove once and for all. If she says no, that answers the question. Is that a violation? Now, here's a question. Is that a violation of the Fifth Amendment? Is that a violation of the Fifth Amendment? Is she being asked to give testimony against herself? Yes or no? Anybody? Is that a violation of the Fifth Amendment? Anybody? Because a lot of people are very interested. Is she being asked to? The answer is, I'll save your time, save your attention. No. No. What? No. Schmerber against California. Nope. Because the Fifth Amendment provides in testimonial. It prevents you from giving testimonial evidence against yourself. Testimonial. Why is that? Schmerber was the case we always used in DUI court. When you were asked, when you were being held down, when blood is taken, blood is drawn, field sobriety tests, observations, horizontal gaze nystagmus, pick up the coin, breathalyzer, all of this stuff. If you were asked, here, blow into this, here, we're going to take your blood, and you ask them, are you telling me that there is a law. There is a law that says, and this is important, that I cannot drink or drive, rather, with this blood concentration in me, and you're asking me to come forward and to disprove that I have a 0.08? No, I'm pleading the fifth. The Supreme Court said, nope, that is non-testimonial. This is testimony. Sit down. Did you do this? Did you? No, I didn't. But sampling, appearing before a lineup, fingerprinting, whatever, that's non-testimonial, even though that is the way they link you into it. And especially when you, how do I say this? When your criminal offense is that thing. Now, let's go back to Ilhan. She takes the stand. She does this thing. And she says, I didn't know he was my brother. Because you have to show scienter, knowledge. Not just that he's your brother. I didn't know this. And you can also say, I could put people on the stand and say that there's inbreeding and that there's all kinds of cousins and first marriage. Cut Up Chatter says, investigative details demanded by the court, like an alcohol test. That is precisely right. But the Supreme Court said in Schmerber against California, it's not testimonial. You're not being asked to speak. You can be forced to. Do you know one time there was a case where we had a court order to get a hair sample? And in a hair sample, you can't cut the hair. You got to pull the hair in order to get the bulb or the root. That's where the evidence is. And this guy says, no. And they grabbed him through the, I wasn't there, but they grabbed him through the bar, pulled him up like this, and they went, boop, boop, boop. Oh, yeah, reasonable force. Oh, yeah. And he said, wait a minute. No, that's just your hair. We're not asking you any questions. Miranda, you have the right to remain silent. Be silent. But I'm not silent through my hair. So she says, I didn't know this. In Somalia, I didn't know. There was the case of a story people have said many, many times. I heard this from this one bartender who was so mendacious. I never believed a word he said. But the story is that somebody came, and a police officer, retired, his son came to him and said, Dad, I've found the woman of my life. I'm going to marry her. Great. And he doesn't know who she is, or either before or whatever, hears her name or whatever, and he said, oh, where are you from? I'm supposed to say, oh, really? What's your parents' name? Okay. Turns out that he believed that well, whether the father knew it or not, but that the wife, the potential wife, the fiance of his son is his half-sister. That he had either an affair or unknowingly sired a child. So he had to put an end to this because basically you're marrying your half-sister. Okay, so in one of those kind of a Jerry Springer kind of scenarios, maybe. But here is the thing. Let me stop. There's a new sheriff in town. There is a new sheriff in town. And I promise you, if Pam Bondi says, here we go, folks, we have a special award and be Employee of the Week. If you can come up with a reason, a statute, a theory, an application of the law that shows that she was involved in a knowing violation of her oath as a congressperson, of to intentionally, willfully, and knowingly violating the rules of immigration, and him, you get him, extradite him, put the if this guy's some cross-dressing whatever, I don't know, but there's pictures of him supposedly, you put the squeeze on him and put him in a room and say they're selling you out. You always do this. You always have somebody come and they do this. They get this guy in jail and he said, fine, get a lawyer. But let me explain something. They're going to sell you down the river. Now, this is your only chance. They don't care about you. Not only is she going to sell you down, but the entire Democratic Party. Now, you've got one chance. Queen for a day, baby. You come forward and you say this. Yes. See, in the old days, before this, when the radical left, and you can also talk about former presidents, let me tell you something. If you think for a moment that the allegations made regarding Barry O and his provenance and where he was born, if you think that was specious, if you think that was baseless, it could ultimately be false, but if you think that is some ridiculous claim, based in no form of reality, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea. But that was quashed, squashed, squished, stopped, ended. It's over because there was the old sheriff in town, but there's a new sheriff in town now. You don't understand this. I'm going to turn loose. We've already turned loose. From big balls to Elon to the Department of Justice. And we're not just going to just primary her. If she's not guilty, fine. I believe in the Constitution and due process, fine. Let her have her day in court. Have a prima facie case. It's not enough to have something on X. You got to have something beyond that. I don't want to break any rules. You don't have to break the rules. But what I'm telling you, and what is critical, and what you must obviously know and understand here, is that before it just stopped, this isn't going to stop now. And everything, they're using campaigns. They've always done it to an extent. They did it with AOC. Remember her boyfriend or whatever? I mean, to an extent. Maxine Waters and her daughter. See, they always do this. Remember they did this thing? Who is Santorini is going to grab the show worldwide. Is going to grab the show. Interesting. Okay, well, let us hope. Thank you for that. What they used to do is, to an extent, is, you know how they say Paul Pelosi is the genius? No, he's not. You know what Paul Pelosi is, right? You know what that's about, right? Oh, by the way, time out. Keep an eye on Jack Schlossberg, that really weird, freaky, tweaking, strange Kennedy's son, Caroline Kennedy. Watch what happens with that one. Oh, he's out of control. I wouldn't be surprised if they're planning an intervention as we speak to cut him off at the pass. Pilgrim says, make an example of the bums. Indeed. Don't think for a moment that let me tell you what would be, provided all this works out the way, I wouldn't be surprised it does work out. Bobby Kennedy Jr. comes out and says, let me tell you something. My nephew is a good young man. As you know, I've been a heroin addict, a drug addict, an alcoholic, a freak of this, and I know addiction and I know the ravages of mental health. And I want you to understand that you are still my kin, and I still love you, and I want you to get the help you need. That's the end of Jack Schlossberg. I'll never see him again. Because up to now, he thinks, I know this is a timeout, but bear with me. He thinks he's John Kennedy Jr. I mean, they have even a morphological. He's doing the shirtless thing. Even hirsute. I mean, it's really interesting genetically. But he's crazy. He's crazy. He's tweaking. I wouldn't be surprised. He's showing all of the evidence of such. All right, that's over there. Back to this. This is a new world. All of a sudden, This woman walks down the aisle or the corridors, and she says, I'm invisible. They can't touch me. They can't touch me. The people who run the show are in charge of the media, TV, everything. Don't be surprised if somebody says, hey, Mossad, by the way, let me also say something. I wouldn't be surprised if you find out that one of the biggest cons ever was the story of how brilliant and the greatest fighting force ever that the Israeli military intel, the more you think about it, it's like, what a story. How many times have you said they're the best? And they always highlight these operations they've done. You never hear about the failures. Was October 7th a failure? Many people, including Max Blumenthal, are saying, no, they screwed up. They're not as good as you think. That's another story. But what if I said, do me a favor? This is where you can say, whoever's in charge, whether it's Israel, AIPAC, I don't know. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with having a lobby to promote and to encourage your particular ideology, whether you're firearms or the NRA or climate or whatever it is. That notwithstanding. What if they said, do yourself, help us get this information? Oh, we got it. And then all of a sudden, there's this, not only a press conference, but charges. You got to have charges. And you want to hear today, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota or the Middle District or whatever it is have announced a unsealing of an indictment. Our cut up chatter says, I am counting on character proven to sort it out. Everyone is punished by their own outcome or rewarded accordingly. We may not witness their downfall. Unfortunately, I would hope so too. Bad people get away with murder all the time. The level of bad that's in Washington is left and right. Let me go back to what I said about Nancy Pelosi. You're always told that it was Paul Pelosi. Paul Pelosi was the shell. He didn't do anything. Oh, he's the guy who, you always need somebody to both take the fall and take the credit. Oh, no. He's just a great investor. No, it's not. It's not me. I'm just Nancy. No, he is. Paul does. Who's getting all the IPOs? They're telling him exactly what to do. The same thing, Maxine Waters' daughter or husband or whatever. It's always that family member. Ilhan Omar's, lover, friend, or whatever. AOC's husband, boyfriend, whatever this guy is. Oh, you always have somebody. No, they do it. But let me tell you the number one thing. If you found out that you had a thing on your car, it was a secret device that told everybody, every traffic cop, every law enforcement agent, to never give you a ticket, you would not speed, or you wouldn't care. I'm getting stopped. You're getting stopped. But if some other guy says, you don't understand, I have this thing on my car where if they do a radar gun, they go, oh, uh-oh, not him. That's what they've been to. Ilhan Omar was told, don't worry about it, but they're going to find me. No, you don't understand. It will go away. When this thing comes up, we will unleash the hounds of hell, and they will surround you and everyone. They will surround you. They will do everything in their power. Every single thing they will. It will go away. Ask Barack Obama. Where'd that thing go? It went nowhere. And what they do is number one, they refute it. Number two, they will say this is racist. Number three, they will call you a name. You are a birther. Remember that one? You're a birther and you're crazy. And then they'll send out the word to everybody in Wikipedia, you'll be called a birther. They did it with 9/11. 9/11, you're a truther. You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. They sully, stain, ruin your name So people back off and say, forget it. They're not here anymore. They're not here anymore. Let me say this again. It's a new everything. 2 side stories. 2. Number 1. Google is not putting up this LGBTQIA, the flags or whatever they want. It's changed. Number 2, their DEI stuff is gone. Number 3, this is the best part. I'm finding out. I've got friends of mine kind of in the Silicon Valley. Meta and other people, they are shuttering. Elon said, I'm getting rid of all these people. I one time I was in a Google office. Couldn't believe it. And I asked, what do these people do? It was a different setup. Remember that movie with was it Rushmore? I think it was. Anyway, there was this Silicon Valley kind of a hipster. He was on a skateboard, he had long hair. The Rick Rubin kind of look, barefoot. The Fetterman look. And they would go to these places and they would have ping pong tables and massages and baristas. And they wanted to make these places campuses. Look at this one. Have you heard the allegations against Governor Josh Shapiro regarding, yes, Butler, Pennsylvania? Sure have, Charlie. And those need to be vetted, whether he was involved somehow in the assassination attempt on President Trump. Those have to be vetted. Absolutely. Heard about that yesterday. Indeed. And thank you for that. Cut Up says, Obi was born in a building named Hawaii. Okay, that's interesting. Now, going back to what's going on here, remember this. Those people aren't around anymore. It doesn't exist. As I was saying, people working in Silicon Valley, Meta and other places, they're firing people left and right, layoffs. I like that, layoff versus you're fired. Fire sounds like you did something wrong. Layoff, we're just doing it. And the reason why is multifold. Number 1, Elon set the standard. Shareholders are saying, what are we doing here? What do you do? That's a big deal. What do you do? I don't know what I do. I don't know. They wanted in the old days, you don't understand this. They wanted to make Google and Facebook kind of like campuses where they didn't want you to leave. They didn't want you to leave. They wanted you to live there and stay there and do your shopping there and your dry cleaning. Well, guess what? They don't need you anymore. Why? AI. They killed themselves with AI. AI destroyed them. I can explain God easier than I can AI. People don't understand it. I was listening last night. I love these lectures on quantum computing. And quantum computing uses quantum mechanics. I know we're veering off this thing, but just weird because it's just so fascinating. Quantum computing uses quantum mechanics as a basis for this. You know the Heisenberg principle that says if you look at something, if you observe something, you change it. Okay. They're going to be able to encrypt everything. I think Toshiba's doing it, where they're going to emit protons. Anytime somebody hacks, every time somebody tries to hack to find anytime they observe it, it changes. It's unhackable using quantum mechanics. I mean, this world is like, holy wow. Explain that one. You've got binomial equations. You've got zeros and ones, off and on. That's it. And when the old computers figured out a maze, they would say, let's try this. No. Well, let's try this way. No. Let's try this way. Oh, that works. Quantum computing does it. Got it. will do 20,000 operations at one time. I mean, boom. Okay, so that's over here. AI is going to be able to say, what do you want me to do? We want code. Got it. See that guy over there sitting on a beach ball doing nothing? Yeah, with the flip-flops. And yeah, gone. This AI thing never takes time off. Doesn't get high, doesn't get, doesn't have anxiety, doesn't work for, it's done. So anyway, so that world is changing. Trump is changing. And I'm going to leave you with this. Okay. What time? Okay. I'm going to try my best. What is happening now? And why Elon is just going to be caught up in the wave. It's not, imagine this tsunami is coming and she's just there along with other people who are going to be just wiped out by this. It's a new everything. It's like they changed the rules. The rules, like my hat said, the rules have changed. It's different. You're not protected anymore. Take it from me. Whether it's the mob, the mafia, whatever you want to call it. People do not remain quiet anymore. Once you tell them you are not being protected, if they get Elmi or whoever it is, you don't understand. We will destroy you. Okay, I'll help. Okay. And they're not going to say, by the way, Elon, Omar, we're not, it's funny, Elon Musk, Ilhan Omar, you got to be careful. Thank you, Vanessa, or love Vanessa. Thank you. You're very, very kind. Not only is that happening, not only Omar, we'll call it because I was saying Elon the other day, Musk? No, Omar. What? No, Musk. Anyway. Not only are they going to say we're going to primary you, no. We want your scalp or your hat or whatever you wear on that. We want you there. We want you on it. We want to teach them a lesson. You don't understand this. You've been terrible. And there's a whole bunch of people. And whether you like this or not, and I know this is very contentious, but there's a lot of folks, or a lot of Israeli proponents, Israel, BB fans, whatever, who want you crushed. Because you just said it was about the Benjamins and all that. So you don't understand something. If she walked out, she would have red dots. You would think she's wearing a red blouse. They're coming at her everywhere. And the first one that gets her. Here's the problem. They tried to get Trump, and what did they do? Why didn't they get Trump? Ready for this? I'll save your time. He didn't do anything. God bless our system enough. You've got to do, I can frame you to a point. But unless you do something, I can't. She did something. How much information? Rumors. Let me tell you something about rumors. Rumors are true. Gossip is true. You never, have you ever heard anybody hint that Donald Trump, for example, is gay? I mean, that's ridiculous. But just the man, anything else. Well, he's a serial killer. Well, could be. Gay? No. Never heard that. Why? Because it's not true. But other people, not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's something to that. Well, maybe it doesn't. This is so huge. And I'm going to say this every time you're going to say, oh no, he's going to say this again. Yes. USAID has no corollary. Imagine if Bernie Madoff were part of a series of Ponzi's. What if I told you? No, told you. Bernie Madoff is not one of two. He's 1,000. And that 1,000 is a part of this thing called Wall Street. And Wall Street is a part of the financial world. Wall Street goes all the way to the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank of central banks. What if I told you that everything was a Ponzi scheme? Everything. He was just that one little USAID. Again, Owen Schroyer, I give him credit for this. He said, it's like that mint at the end of a meal, or the fortune cookie at the end of a Chinese meal. That's just a little freebie. It means nothing. We give that away. We got a box full of them. Take them. That's nothing. It's in the trillions, because what's behind that goes out into, give me an example. You know how we get around intelligence rules, right? CIA can't investigate you, right? You know that. That's the charter. No problem. Hey, Five Eyes, France, do me a favor. Can you look at Alex Jones for me? Sure. Why? I didn't do it. Well, you got him to do it. Well, so what? The First Amendment prevents the government. So what does the First Amendment do? Or the government does? Or the old government, it would pick a proxy. They'll tell Instagram or whatever, here, shut Alex Jones down. Shut him down. It's the same thing. It's just a different channel. It's a different delivery system. Right now, as we speak, they are freaking out. And Chuck Schumer, when Elon Musk, do you know what he said? This Chuck Schumer, they give these hints like, I think this Chuck Schumer is a little shady. That means it's over. You don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do. And Elon Omar is going to say, well, what about me? We don't have time for you. No, help me. Sorry. I'm running for the hills. All of the Democratic, pardons, that's over with. That's done. That's finished. He's on his own. On his own. They're freaking out. And it took Elon Musk and his 19 and big balls, whatever, to go through this. This is the easiest thing in the world for us. Because like I said, the reason why this happened wasn't because they were so smart, because they ran the system. There was nobody in charge. Nobody was making any of the decisions. You are about to see something. You're not. The Josh Shapiro thing, that's part of it. They've got so many things coming at you. D-Day, Normandy, was basically, they had, the Germans were here, and here they came with the invasion, the amphibious invasion. And then they did some gliders, and they did some, behind the lines, and they did some, paratroopers. Notice I'm doing this to signal paratrooper, because I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, and that was okay. But imagine D-Day with everything. All of a sudden, every villager, every plant, every cloud, every tree, every blade of grass, every fish, everything was armed and moving in. It was like, oh my God, what is this? The weather, the ground, they detonated the ground in an earthquake. So that's what this is. It's not just political or whatever. And all of these people, CNN, all of the defenders, all of the people who were there, all of the ones, one day they're going to say, guess what? Your security pass doesn't work. Come with us. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new everything. There's a new world. It's like the world of gravity doesn't exist. This is like nothing you've ever seen. And I'm telling you, Facebook, Meta, everything is done. Not only because of AI, but because they're looking at Elon Musk and saying, this is ridiculous. And everybody is bowing and scraping before Trump, Murdoch, and everybody. Everybody from MBS. The other day, Trump said, I think we're going to redevelop Gaza and have it be. And they said, that's the craziest thing ever. Wanna bet? You can't do that. Wanna bet? No, no, you don't understand. That's different. Want a bet? They live there. Last time. Want a bet? Everything you can imagine. It's every, it's funny. When I get done talking to you, I have to like lie down. I've never been like this. Because I'm not conveying to you the enormity of this. Nobody is. All right. That's all. So do me a friend, do me a favor, my friend. We'll talk more about this. Make sure you're subscribed to Lionel Nation. Make sure you're subscribed to Lynn's Warriors. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. There's a little link there. Just go and read this. And loads of people are getting it. But this one has a complete and total breakdown of the Ilhan Omar story. Like you can't believe. All right? And don't forget, February 22nd at the Cutting Room. Follow me at Lionel Nation. All right. I'm going to go lay down now, or lie down, because I'm exhausted. I'm spent. Talk to you later. Remember, the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.